Did you guys see the Chris Rock special?
No, I haven't seen that one yet, but it's definitely on the watch list.
I've seen a few clips, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
So it's another.
He was very gracious.
He goes after him, right? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, he does. And why wouldn't you? I mean, Will Smith walked up to him on a stage in front of the world and slapped the shit out of him, and he did nothing.
It's Chris Rock too. He was raw back in the 90s, so I'm glad he hasn't caved to the woke.
I think he's one of the best stand-ups, or was. I mean, the one that he did recently, like the stuff outside of the Chris Rock stuff, I didn't think it was that great to begin with, but Never Scared, in my opinion, is one of his best stand-up comedies. But the thing that happened in this stand-up comedy on Netflix was he basically used it as an opportunity to pay back Will Smith for what happened. Well, I don't know, what was it, like a year ago?
Yeah, it was about a year ago, a little bit more than a year.
Yeah, that was a great little bit. You can probably find it on the interwebs. It's something like maybe 8 to 12 minutes long, but he really lays into it. It's like, he's basically saying, like, look, dude, I didn't put this out there. It's like you and your wife sat down in front of a table in front of the world and talked about her cheating on you with your son's best friend, and you're mad at me because I say something.
You had a publicist there.
Yeah,
you had a team, a PR.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I think it sounds very familiar to the situation with Megan and the other guy.
He goes after her. Yeah. He goes after them too in the special, actually.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah, he goes after them too, and I think that it's kind of like a this is what like American celebrities have become. Is this kind of like red table talk kind of cheating on your wife? Has the woman is in charge and all this shit? The man's a limp dick kind of cuck, though, right? That's kind of what is expected in these Hollywood circles.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're like real life check stand tabloid magazines.
It's brutal. Like, is Will Smith still married to Jada Pinkett Smith?
Yeah, I believe so.
He's still with that hoe after all of that.
Yeah.
That is
Tupac's alpha widow.
Yeah, well, maybe some bull will come along and swoop in and have a story there. I wouldn't doubt it.
Speaking of which, the other two that shall not be mentioned, South Park recently did an episode on them, which is pretty funny, and I think it pissed them off. They were the Canadian royalty, though.
Yeah,
that was actually one of the best episodes of South Park, apparently, and it's really like right now, like they're less popular than Prince Andrew, the alleged pedophile who was on Epstein's island. Like they're less popular than him.
Yeah.
So I think they got kicked out of their house in the UK.
But wait, Oprah Winfrey likes them. Yeah, she's friends with Oprah, right?
Wow.
Yeah, she's a purveyor of truth in modern society, apparently.
Yeah.
But I think basically what it comes down to is that, especially in entertainment, these things move on a 3 or 4 year cycle, right? So if you think back to 3 or 4 years ago, that's when the whole Me Too thing was in full swing. And so that's why a lot of these projects are coming out now. So, but the success of stuff like Top Gun Maverick and just other projects that aren't super woke means that Hollywood is kind of, or entertainment in general is kind of recognizing that this whole path they're on is an abject failure. Mm-hmm. And the pendulum is going to be swinging back. It's just the way that Hollywood or entertainment works is that these things are in the pipeline for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then there's the marketing. So it's probably going to be about another 1 or 2 years before the pendulum kind of swings back to normal. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see some good movies again. I had a conversation with someone down here recently, and actually a couple people have asked me lately, like, what's wrong with the U.S. culture? Why don't you guys make good movies anymore? Why don't you guys put out good music? Why? It's like, I don't know. It's a larger sign of some sickness inside of our society, I suppose.
Yeah, they used to knock out bangers, and when I was a kid, 80s and 90s, right? Like they would knock out banger after banger, like Top Gun. What was one with Tom Cruise with the NASCAR, Days of Thunder or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they used to knock out banger after banger, and it's just now most of the stuff that I haven't gone to the movie theater in ages. It's probably been well over a year. Like even after they lifted the restrictions, I think I've seen maybe like 1 or 2 films or something. Top Gun was probably the last one that I saw.
I like going to the movie theater too. I've had people ask me, "Hey, is it because of COVID? Did COVID kill cinema?" And I always say, "No, cinema killed cinema."
Yeah.
There's a lot of good foreign movies coming out. My brother watches like Russian war movies. I know people that watch Korean movies that really like them. Mexican cinema is starting to get better, but the U.S. cinema and just general pop culture has been terrible for going on a decade now. Even comedies, you can't find good comedies. But back in like pre-2012, that whole decade or prior to 2012, there was a bunch of good comedies like the Frat
I've had
Pack and those raunchy
yeah,
ones.
ski school and all that sort of stuff. I've had a lot of recommendations, from my brother because he's an avid like war film sort of guy, and he's like, "Oh, you got to check out this war movie. You got to check out this one." It's like I'll go and turn it on for 5 minutes, and then I'm either reading the movie because there's subtitles, or they've translated it into English, and it's like a bad Japanese like kung fu movie from like 40 years ago where like the lip syncing doesn't match up. Obviously, it's like I'm not reading a movie and I'm not watching something where the lips don't sync up to the dialogue. It's like done. I'm out.
That gets annoying here. I always watch the movies in original language, so usually they're predominantly in English, but out of habit, I always have the Spanish subtitles on because I usually have Spanish-speaking company. So that's not as bad as when it's like Russian to English. But the thing is, Spanish and English, that should be a pretty easy one to translate as compared to like a Russian to English, German to English, and they still screw it up all the time. I know it'll distract me that I'll be listening to the English audio track. Something's really funny. And a lot of times for it to be funny, that you have to have specificity. And you look at the translation, and it's so general and so broad and so vague that it just dies with any of my Spanish-speaking audience around me. So that's always kind of tough too with the translation thing. You lose a lot in translation, so to speak.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.